A Labuan Family Foundation in Malaysia can be a useful succession and wealth planning structure, especially for families connected to Malaysia or wider Asian region. It allows assets to be held by a separate legal entity, managed under written rules, and used for the benefit of family members or for a defined purpose. My name is Shiraz Wahid and I'm the co-founder at LFSA Wealth. And in this video, I'm going to explain how a Labuan Family Foundation works, how it is set up, who controls it, and where it may fit alongside international holding structures. Now, before going into the setup process, it is important to understand what Labuan Foundation actually is. A Labuan Foundation is a legal entity established under the Labuan framework in Malaysia. It has its own legal personality, which means it can hold assets in its own name. It does not have shareholders like a company, and it is usually created by a founder who transfer assets into the foundation for the benefits of the beneficiaries or for a specific purpose. For family wealth planning, the foundation can sit between the family and the assets. Instead of family members owning everything directly, selected assets can be transferred into the foundation. The foundation then holds and manages those assets according to its charters and articles. The charter is the main constitutional document. It sets out the name of the foundation, its purpose, the founder and the beneficiaries or class of beneficiaries. The charter also defines the duration of the foundation and the role of the secretary. Now, the articles and the bylaws provide the more detailed operating rules, including how decisions are made, how distributions are handled, and how control is supervised. This is where a foundation becomes useful for families. It moves the family away from informal instructions towards a written governance structure. Instead of relying only on personal arrangements, the foundation creates the framework for who can act, who can benefit, and how decisions should be made in a family wealth structure. Now, the next point is why families may consider Labuan instead of holding assets directly or using only a company. Labuan is part of Malaysia, but it has its own international business and financial center framework. It is used for cross-border structures, wealth management, holding arrangements, and succession planning. For some families, Labuan is attractive because it offers foundation structure in Asia with familiar governance concept. A founder can create the foundation, define its purpose, appoint officers, appoint the secretary, or where appropriate, appoint the council members or supervisory person. It can also support continuity. If assets are held personally, death or incapacity can interrupt control. Bank accounts can be frozen, shares may need probate, and different jurisdictions may apply different inheritance rules. A foundation can help maintain continuity because the foundation continues to exist even when the founder is no longer able to act. This does not remove the need for tax advice or estate planning advice in each relevant country. Domicile, residency, source of income, asset location, and beneficiary residence all matter. A Labuan Foundation should be coordinated with the wider estate plan, not treated as a standalone solution. Now, a Labuan Foundation has several important roles. The first is the founder. The founder establishes the foundation, provides initial assets, defines the purpose, and sets the initial structure through the charter. The second role is the officer. The officer is responsible for the administration of the foundation and helps ensure that the foundation operates according to its documents and obligations. The third role is the secretary. A Labuan Trust Company must be appointed as a secretary for the registration. The secretary handles filings, lodgements, and formal communication with the Labuan authorities. This matters because the foundation is not just a private family document. It is a registered entity with ongoing compliance requirements. The fourth role is a council member. A council can supervise the management of the foundation and help ensure that it is being run according to its charters, articles, and purpose. In a family structure, this can be useful where the founder wants an additional layer of governance. For a family foundation, the question is how much control does the founder wants to retain, how much independence is required, and how the structure should operate after the founder's lifetime. Now, when it comes to the setup process, a Labuan Family Foundation usually starts with structuring. The first step is to decide what the foundation is meant to achieve. It may be used to hold shares in a family company, manage investments, assets, support children and future generations, hold wealth for succession, or coordinate ownership of international assets. Once the purpose is clear, the next step is to decide which assets should be transferred. Not every asset should automatically go into the foundation. Some assets may be better held through an SPV. Some may require consent from the banks, regulators, land registries, company registrar, or existing shareholders. Some may also create tax consequences when transferred. After that, the foundation documents are prepared. The charter of the foundation sets out the core framework, and the articles provide provide the detailed rules. These documents should also address appointments and removal of officers, distribution powers, reserve powers of the founder, succession of control, family governance, and limit on decision making. The application of the foundation is then submitted through a Labuan Trust Company acting as secretary. Labuan FSA reviews the application and conducts due diligence. Once the application is approved and the required fee are paid, the foundation receives the certificate of registration. But the setup does not end at registration. The assets still need to be transferred properly. For shares, that may mean share transfer instruments and company register updates. For bankable assets, it may mean opening accounts and completing bank due diligence. For real estate or regulated assets, local legal steps may be required in the country where the assets are located. Now, control is one of the most important part of a foundation structure. The founder may want continuity but also want to retain certain powers during the lifetime. Labuan allows reserve power to be built into the structure provided they are drafted properly. These powers may cover areas such as appointing or removing beneficiaries, amendment of parts of the charter, appointing officers, or approving major decisions. The purpose is to create a balance between founder influence and legal separation. For families, this balance matters. If the founder keeps too much informal control, the structure may be challenged in another jurisdiction. If the founder gives away too much control without proper governance, the family may lose practical direction. A good structure is able to create defined authority. Family governance can also be built into the documents. The foundation can set out how distributions are considered, how education or maintenance support is handled, how the business assets are retained, and how future generations become involved. This is especially relevant where the family owns an operating company or expects the next generation to benefit without immediately controlling the assets. The foundation should also be coordinated with wills, shareholder arrangements, trust structures, or any other arrangements. Now, when it comes to tax treatments, it should always be reviewed before the structure is created. A Labuan foundation may have its own local treatment, but the wider results depends on where the founder is tax resident, where the beneficiaries live, where the assets are located, and where income or gains come. Domicile can also be important for inheritance tax or estate tax exposure. For example, a family with a UK connection, Dubai residency, Malaysian assets, and investment accounts in Singapore may need coordinated advice in several places. The foundation documents may be Labuan based, but the tax authorities usually look at residence, control, source of income, beneficial ownership, and transfer rules. Asset protection also needs careful timing. A foundation should be created as part of legitimate planning, not after a claim has already appeared. If assets are transferred with the intention of defeating creditors, courts in relevant jurisdictions may examine the transfer. In such cases, timing, solvency, intent, and documentation all matter. From a succession perspective, the foundation can help reduce reliance on personal ownership. If the founder dies, the assets held by the foundation are not simply personal assets sitting in the founder's estate. This can support continuity, but only where the assets were transferred correctly and the wider estate plan is aligned. A Labuan Family Foundation may fit where the family wants a foundation-style structure in Asia, needs succession continuity, and wants assets managed under a defined governance framework. It may be relevant for families with international portfolios, family companies, cross-border beneficiaries, or they need to separate ownership from direct personal control. It may also fit where the family wants a structure that works alongside other planning tools. A Labuan Foundation may hold shares in a holding company. It may sit above an SPV. It may coordinate with other jurisdiction, foundations, trust, or wills as well. The right decision depends on the family's residence, asset location, tax profile, and long-term succession planning. So if you want our help in setting up a trust or a foundation in Labuan or any other international jurisdiction, you can request a personalized asset protection plan by clicking the link in the description below. That's it for today, and I will see you in the next video.